Good morning to all the learners, regional director, and today's speaker, Professor AJ Solomon Raj. I welcome you all for this webinar. As you are all aware that Indira Gandhi National Open University rigorously and dedicatedly participating and performing the activities for the last 1 month under Swachh Bharat Abhiyan as per the directions received from the IGNOU headquarters across the country in all the 56 regional centers. As a part of it, IGNOU RC Visakhapatnam has organized several activities, conducting drawing competition for the school children, organized and conducted the essay writing for the degree college students, cleaning of the sea beach, conducting the seminars, and organizing the Grama Sabha at adapted villages. As a part of it, today we are organizing this webinar. We are having very learned scholar, senior professor to deliver the lecture on lifestyles regarding the sustainable environment. I am very happy to introduce the speaker to the audience. Before that, I request our senior regional director, Dr. Dharmarao, to give the initial remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Krishna Rao, and I warmly welcome all the gathering, especially our beloved guest, Honorable Professor AJ Solomon Raj Garu, Department of Environmental Sciences. Currently is in the Department of Environmental Sciences as an honorary professor before serving in various capacities in Andhra University. He has a vast experience and expertise, and this is a very great opportunity for all of us to listen to him at this moment of Swachhata Hi Seva Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. As a part of the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, the Swachhata Hi Seva 2024 activities, we thought of having a guest lecture on certain aspects of environment related to the lives of human beings, how we can transform the lifestyle to safeguard for a sustainable environment. This is our main objective in conducting this webinar. And once again, I thank on behalf of Indira Gandhi National Open University and the students of Indira Gandhi National Open University to Professor Solomon Raj Garu for accepting our invitation and to deliver the lecture today for all of us. We will be benefited from his golden words, from his expertise, from his experiences in the field as a professor in the environmental science studies. So, I would like to request all the students to utilize this opportunity to have this meeting as an eye-opener to everybody in changing, in transforming our own lives in order to get a sustainable environment, sustainable nature, and a sustainable Earth. We need to have many changes in our lives, but due to the highly ultra modern lifestyles, we are missing a lot of natural components that can safeguard the environment. So, the government of India, as well as many other countries, are also now focusing on the safeguarding the environment. And the first and foremost change that should come from the person, the man, within the man. So, for what change we need to go further? How can we change our lifestyles? How can we transform ourselves into a modern world with sustainable nature, sustainable environment? This is what the main objective of this lecture. And once again, I welcome all of you for this. I thank Dr. Krishna Rao for organizing such a wonderful webinar on behalf of Indira Gandhi National Open University, Regional Center, Visakhapatnam. And this is our first activity with Professor Salman Raj Garu. And I sincerely thank. In a very short notice only, he accepted our invitation and he prepared a very good PowerPoint presentation for all of us. And once again, I thank him. And we will be continuing our collaboration further in order to benefit our students of Indira Gandhi National University. Thank you very much, sir. I request Dr. Krishna Rao, please take the meeting further. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dharmarao-ji, for your initial remarks. Now it is time to introduce our honorable speaker, Honorable Professor A.J. Salman Raju, Department of Environmental Science, Andhra University, Visakhapatnam. For his credit, he has worked at the international level as well as the national level. He was the President, Asia Section, Board of Governors, Global Society for Conservation Biology, USA. He was also consultant for Convention on Biological Diversity, FAO, Rome. He was also expert member in the different national level committees. He was the member expert group on conservation and sustainable utilization of natural resources, MO EFCC 2010 to 2012. He was also member Program Advisory Committee on conservation and management of mangroves and coral reefs, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, 2015 to 2020. He was also a member MOEF National Consultant for 11th Conference of Parties, Convention on Biological Diversity in 2012. He was chairman, Plant-Animal Interactions Brainstorming Meeting for Networking as part of program supported by Department of Biotechnology, Government of India. He was also member Steering Committee on Environmental Research and Development Program, MO Ministry of EFCC 2022 to till date. He was also performed different administrative positions. He was the head of the Department of Environmental Science, Andhra University. He was a chairman, Board of Postgraduate Studies, Department of Environmental Science, Andhra University. He also worked as a chief warden, head of the department, and chairman of postgraduate studies, and he was also a member of NSS Advisory Committee. For his academic credit, he has published more than 8 publications, and also he has visited different countries to present international level papers, and also he was chaired so many national and international seminars, and also he got the so many awards, honorary awards from the state level and the national level. State government has also awarded him so many awards. That state level teacher award he got for his credit in 2016, and also he got the Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan Best Academician Award, and also he got the Andhra Pradesh Scientist Award in 2002, and he also got the Best Researcher Award, and also he got Best Paper Presentation Award from the Loyola College. And also he is the distinguished professor in different universities. At present, he is working as a honorary professor in Andhra University from June 1st, 2022 to till date. Sir, we are very happy having you in this occasion. Academicians, great academicians like you, give the lot of academic information to our students. I hope this webinar is going to provide a lot of insights regarding the lifestyles in connection to the our sustainable environment. Thank you very much, sir, from IGNO Regional Center Visakhapatnam for accepting our invitation and agreed to deliver the lecture on the lifestyles and environment. Thank you. Please take the session, sir.
Good morning to all of you. Thank you, sir, for introducing me to your students in a very nice way. And before I start my lecture, I request all the students who are online to put your mobiles in mute mode. That's my request. Now I am starting my lecture. So the title of my lecture here is Lifestyles and Environment. Because the environment is now in a very degraded state in the present times because of our attitude towards the environment and because of the lifestyles that we have chosen, we are practicing and we are following in different parts of the world, especially in developing countries. So here I just give you the definition, what is this lifestyle and all. So living is the basic thing for us to be on this planet. So what is living? Living always means consuming. So consuming what? Consuming resources. So consuming means resources. So when you consume resources will be depleted. So when resources are depleted, automatically there is a environmental degradation. So they're all interlinked. So living, then consuming resources, and then environmental degradation. So when resources are depleted, we cannot sustain the present lifestyle. So in different parts of the world, different lifestyles are there. Each lifestyle requires or demands a variety of resources. So our living depends on our lifestyle, the lifestyle that we chose, the lifestyle that we are following. So what is a lifestyle? A lifestyle is the way a person lives. That is what is the definition. That is the definition for lifestyle. A lifestyle is a characteristic bundle of behaviors that makes sense to both the person who is practicing this lifestyle and also to others who are in his surroundings in a given time and place, including the lifestyle also includes social relations, consumption of resources, and entertainment and dress and all the things, bundle of behaviors. That's why it is considered to be bundle of behaviors that constitutes what is a lifestyle. So the behaviors and practices within lifestyles are a mixture of habits, conventional ways of doing things, and reasoned actions. And for all these actions, resources are required. without a resource, we cannot make a living. So to make a living, we choose a particular lifestyle. So some lifestyles are very simple. Sometimes some lifestyles are very complicated and resource demanding. And the people living in urban areas, they demand more resources. They need more resources for consumption to live a very luxury lifestyle. In rural setting and tribal areas, lifestyle is very simple. So there is no much demand for resources. So that's how we can what you call distinguish the lifestyle and associated resources consumption as well as environmental degradation. So a lifestyle typically reflects an individual's attitudes, values, and worldviews about the environment. If you start from the beginning, how human human being came to this planet, origin of man. So initially there was a nomadic lifestyle. So nomadic lifestyle refers to organic economy. So nomadic lifestyle, that means people moved from one place to place in search of food. So only gathering of wild fruits, gathering of wild things, vegetable things from the forest areas. That is what is called gathering lifestyle. Hunting lifestyle, hunting for meat. So by using arrows and catapults and other whatever, so they used in those days. So that's how there is in this particular lifestyle, there is no environmental degradation, there is no pollution, there is no burning activity, and so on. So here only people collected food whenever they wanted to eat. People hunted for a meat whenever they wanted to eat. There was no possibility for storing food. So that was the thing. That's why there was no pollution. And also here, hunting and gathering. Hunt and women gather. So because women are not physically strong, only men are strong. So there itself, division of labor work started here in the nomadic lifestyle itself. So hunting is confined to men and gathering is mostly confined to women. So that's how gender-based division of labor. You can see in this particular lifestyle, there is no environmental degradation or pollution. There is no harm to the environment because of the lifestyle of nomads. So these nomads are environmental friendly, are eco-friendly. And next, first social revolution. So nomadic lifestyle is the basis for first social revolution. In this, domestication of plants and animals took place. Here on one side you see on the slide horticultural society, on the other side you see pastoral society. So horticultural society is using the what you call wood made instruments, not iron made and other things. So in order to plow the land, to cultivate food that they wanted to eat. So that is the beginning of horticultural society. So there was no vertical in this thing, there was no fire in this society. So there was no environmental degradation. But people lived in that particular society, they simply used wooden made instruments in order to grow or cultivate crops. Coming to the pastoral society. So pastoral society is related to domestication and breeding of animals for food. So this began in actually this took place in North Africa, where there is a desert region is there, where the people cannot cultivate crops. That's why they have chosen this pastoral society of domesticating animals, breeding animals in order to get meat. So that is what is called a pastoral society. And even now, these pastoral societies still exist in Africa, Latin America, and parts of Asia. So it is common. Even nowadays, in some parts of India is also, we are having these pastoral societies. People move from one place to other. Uh, so along with their domesticated animals for grazing purpose in order to make up their livelihood. So in these both societies, we don't see any kind of environmental degradation. So resource use is very much minimized. There is no pollution at all. So these societies are also environmental friendly societies. And then early agricultural lifestyle. So early agriculture, this is the second social revolution. This is a second social revolution. Here, people started to settle and cultivate crops and store food, and there was no need for them to move from one place to the other. So settled life started in this particular social revolution. That is what is called early agricultural lifestyle. So but here people started to cultivate land. So that means they started clearing the forest land to cultivate food. So that is the initiation of deforestation activity. So that is the initiation of deforestation activity. And also in this society, people start used fire to heat meat or to cook meat, and burning activities and forest clearance activities. All these things started taking place in this second social revolution, which we otherwise call as early agricultural revolution. So this is the beginning of environmental pollution or environmental degradation, but it is not up to the mark. So that is negligible. That pollution degradation is very negligible in these societies. And then third social revolution took place. So here people have shifted from agricultural to industrial society. So industrial society, so industrialization began in mid 1700s. So in Great Britain or UK, so they started using coal for the first time in the world, and they started using steam engines for the first time in the world. They started using coal for electricity production. So that is the beginning of environmental pollution, air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution. So this is the beginning in this particular first industrial revolution, which started from mid 17th century. So gradually, and scientists have found other fossil fuels like what you call crude oil and natural gas and oil shale deposits, and now gas hydrates, tar sand deposits, various kinds of fossil fuels. Scientists have discovered, and people started using all these things with the emergence of this mid 17th industrial revolution. So gradually, from that particular period to up to now, we have been using these various kinds of fossil fuels. We are still using coal to a large extent. We are using crude petroleum. We are using what you call oil shale deposits, especially in the developed world, and tar sand deposits in the developed world, because we don't have them here. Gas hydrates, the developed world, they are using. So they all come under fossil fuels. When you burn, either for power production or for heat production or cooking purpose or whatever, so it is contributing to a lot of environmental pollution. So environmental pollution is only one thing. So for the convenience of our understanding only, we have classified environmental pollution into air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution, noise pollution, radioactive pollution, whatever pollution that you want to say. So all collectively, all these things come under environmental pollution, because environment is only one. So in this environment, we are all living, not only we, plants and animals, microbes, everybody. So every species has its right to live on this planet. But we are not giving any chance for all other species which are living along with us. We are simply eliminating them. We are making them vanish from this planet Earth because of our lifestyles. So in the industrial revolution, there are some comforts, so transportation, and what you call electricity utilization. So this is the lifestyle that gradually lifestyle has changed since from mid 17th century onwards. And now post-industrial society in the present times. So industrial revolution transformed Western societies in many unexpected ways. All the machines and inventions for producing, transporting goods reduced the need for human labor. So everything only on systems, desktop or laptop, simply give command, everything gets, the work gets done. So all the machines and inventions for producing and transporting goods reduced the need for human labor. And artificial intelligence, robots are also in use. And um, so much that the economy transformed again from an industrial to a post-industrial economy. Now we are in the post-industrial economy, a post-industrial society. The type of society that has developed over the past few decades features an economy based on services and technology, IT services, IT technology, not production. So primary production in agricultural land is not taking place mostly, but mostly the present economy, not only at national level, at a global level, is mostly based on IT, services and technology, but not on production. So here, three major characteristics of post-industrial economy. Focus on ideas. So tangible goods no longer drive the economy so traditional goods no longer drive the economy. So need for higher education. Factory work doesn't require any advanced training. So with artificial intelligence, we can manipulate, we can vertical burn the fuel, we can produce electricity simply vertical just by using commands. And a shift in workplace from cities to homes. So in the present times, one need not go to the office to do work. So one can stay home and carry out his or her work. So new communications technology allows work to be performed from a variety of locations. So these are all the comforts. So lifestyles have changed and comforts have changed, luxuries. So that means all these luxuries, lifestyles require huge resources, huge resources. So then more power is used for sustaining this post-industrial society. More industries are, so that means infrastructure for the development of more resources are required for the development of infrastructure for IT. So therefore, when you develop all these things, so automatically more pollution and more waste and more environmental degradation with all these various activities, we are creating an environment from livable to non-livable environment. So in the initial stages of the formation of the earth, there was no oxygen. There was only carbon dioxide. There was no life. Life originated in water. So with unicellular organism, with algae, chloroplast, and unicellular phytoplankton. So they started fixing atmospheric carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen as a byproduct. So gradually, oxygen levels have increased on this planet, and gradually carbon dioxide levels have come down. So that's how life from water to land arrived. So then macro life existed, and finally on the top of life, human being is there. So this is how oxygen levels have increased and carbon dioxide levels have come down drastically. But in the present times, with our various kinds of lifestyles, with our various kinds of civilizations, basing on the resources that we have in each and every country, so that means we are creating an environment in which oxygen levels are coming down and vertical carbon dioxide levels are increasing. Maybe if we do like this continuously without taking any measures, so maybe oxygen levels will gradually decrease and the carbon dioxide levels will gradually increase, and then finally we create an environment which existed at the time of the formation of the earth. So that's why we need to think about our lifestyles. Here you can see, here you see daily consumption of energy per capita. Primitive man, 2000 kilocalories only. So here from right side I am coming, you see the slide. Primitive man used only 2000 kilocalories per day, per head, per capita. So that kilocalories is only for food purpose, for gathering food, And then then society is a hunting society. Here food is 3,000 kilocalories, and then home and commerce 2,000 kilocalories. So that's how energy consumption a little bit increased in case of hunting society. Then that is followed by primitive agricultural society. Here there is a further increase in what you call energy consumption and advanced cultural man. So here you see there is a further increase in energy consumption per capita. And then you take a look at industrial man. There is a jump in energy usage per capita. And technological man in the present times, if you see, there is a huge jump in terms of energy consumption per capita per head. So if you take United States as an example, per head 250,000 kilocalories every person is using every day. 250,000 kilocalories. But in India, not that much. So that means that is their lifestyle is resource consumption based. So without consumption of resources, they cannot sustain their present lifestyle. So coming to urban area, so in nowadays across the globe, urbanization and industrialization factors are very, very rampant. So one day if you wake up from your bed, you may see the entire globe will be an urbanized planet. So now urbanization is gradually extending into suburban areas, rural areas. So urban is like a witch. It is extending its tentacles into the nearby rural areas and swallowing the agricultural land, rural lands. So this is like a witch and is expanding not only in India, everywhere throughout the world, urban growth. But this urbanization is, which is nothing but we call as cities or metro cities or smart cities. So they all need more and more resources. Otherwise, we cannot sustain urban areas, urban centers, and industrialization. To sustain urban centers, we need to go for more industrialization to produce various kinds of products for use in urban areas and also suburban areas, and later, so gradually by rural areas and even tribal areas. So how this urban growth takes place? So urban, here rate of increase or urban population. So it occurs in two ways. One is natural increase, and the second one is immigration. Natural increase, more births than deaths in urban areas. And the next one is immigration. So nearby rural areas, people are gradually migrating to urban areas because lifestyle is different and work will be available. So there is a possibility for them to work here to get some money so that they can sustain their bodies and they can sustain their families. That's why most of the people from rural areas now, they are moving towards urban areas. In rural areas, many few people are involved in farming activities. So this urban growth is increasing day by day, especially in a country like India, especially in developing countries. So people living in urban areas are projected at 3.5 billion. So if more urbanization takes place, automatically more industrialization. So that means more industrialization, more urbanization means more consumption of resources, more environmental degradation, more production of waste to which we are all subjected. So waste recycling is not properly done. So everything, everywhere, environmental degradation takes place. Why people like urban centers? So new jobs are available and better education facilities, more innovation activities. And culture is different in urban areas, but in rural areas, culture is different. And trade, commerce, business, and all the things are there. And a landless state of poor here, poor. So they come to the urban areas. People who do not have any land. So in rural areas, they usually move to urban areas. And in urban areas, better Medicare is available. And a new lifestyle is there, entertainment, night entertainment, various kinds of things. And a lack of work opportunities in rural areas. All these things individually or collectively making people to move to urban centers, and therefore urbanization is very rampant in the present times. So all these activities require so many resources. So when you use so many resources for all these things, automatically you are producing more waste, to solid waste, to liquid waste, to whatever, even gaseous waste. So coming to this energy related problems in urban centers. So there is a huge demand for energy because you need to run IT, you need to run shopping complexes, shopping malls, and hotels, five-star hotels, three-star hotels, everything, what you call. So therefore more power is required. Energy related problems here, increasing demand for energy resources, increasing demand for food, and increasing demand for vehicles, increasing trends in industrial setting, increasing levels of municipal waste, increasing levels of industrial waste, increasing levels of pollution in water bodies, increasing levels of pollution in coastal waters, because most cities are situated along the coastline, whether it's India or any country in the world. Take India, both on the east coast and the west coast cities, Visakhapatnam, Chennai, and then Bhubaneswar, Kolkata, and Mumbai, So all these Trivandrum, most of the big huge cities, they are there along the coastline. Coastlines are very vibrant in terms of commerce, business, livelihood, and all these things. When many people live in coastal lines, therefore more resources consumption, more waste production, and more environmental degradation, and more what you call infectious diseases also spread because of most people living in such areas. So all these things require more energy, oil and electricity. Crude oil, crude petroleum is required. What you call gasoline, petrol, diesel, and so there is a huge demand. If you take one example, in Visakhapatnam, an individual family usually buys two-wheelers, four-wheelers. For father, one four-wheeler, and mother, if she is working, and another four-wheeler or two-wheeler for children, two-wheeler. So every family has is using many vehicles, whether it's two-wheeler or four-wheeler. How much energy is required? That is our lifestyle. So that lifestyle is consuming resources. That lifestyle is producing more waste. That lifestyle is consuming more non-renewable energy resources. That is burning of crude petroleum in different forms, burning of crude petroleum in different forms, and also in other problems here. See, increased temperature because of burning of all this power and fuels for vehicles and all these things in urban areas or in urban settings, increased temperatures, heat island, that is what is called as heat island effect. So urban areas are acting like heat islands. So they produce more heat, they retain more heat. So that's why they are called heat islands. Urban centers are heat islands because vehicles release so many pollutants and also more sunlight, and there is a little vegetation here in urban centers. So that's why more temperature prevails in urban centers. Increased heat works as a dome traps to trap pollutants created in urban areas. So that is another thing. So more temperature means that acts like dome trap, which traps pollutants, and pollutants will be hanging in the midst of our environment, to which we are all exposed day by day, regularly, round the clock. And because there is no vegetation cover in urban areas, we clear forest cover and we create urban centers, we create cities, and we name them as Visakhapatnam, or we name them something like another by using some other names. But previously, originally, Visakhapatnam is a huge forest scrub jungle. Now this is entirely cleared, and now it is called Visakhapatnam. Originally, it was a small fishing village, and now what you see here is you don't find any vegetation. Only artificial plantations like vertical green cover, things like that, by municipal corporation or what they have taken up for plantation activities, and also some NGOs have also taken up, and some industries also have taken up plantation activities. But there is no natural vegetation within urban centers in any part of the world. So vegetation cover is very important. Vegetation, why vegetation important is that plants are very important to produce so much oxygen in urban centers. Oxygen is required for breathing, not only by plant, not only by human beings, but also by animals and by microorganisms. And also, chemical pollutants also need oxygen. So the available oxygen in the ambient environment is to be utilized by various kinds of various classes of living organisms. So oxygen has become is becoming a rare commodity in the present times, because vegetation cover is also very important to sequester more carbon dioxide that is released in the urban centers, that is released in industrial centers. So more carbon sequestration means more plantation is required, more vegetation cover is required. And plantations sequester pollutants. They withdraw pollutants from the atmosphere. They clean up the atmospheric environment from pollutants. So, but unfortunately, in urban centers or in industrial centers, there is little natural vegetation and little plantation cover. So, so that's why environmental issues are there in most of the urban areas. So, and also expanding commercial sector, so expanding commercial sector demanding more energy resources, expanding transport sector demanding more energy resources. So here, increased levels of pollution. You can see here traffic congestion here. There may be, for example, in Hyderabad, or in sometimes peak during peak hour in Visakhapatnam, or in any city for that matter, in any part of the world, increased levels of air pollution because of burning of fuels, by all these vehicles, traffic congestion, parking difficulties, and traffic accidents, public transport insufficiency and difficulties for pedestrians, and loss of public space, and increased land consumption, and decreased groundwater levels. So you just see how we have created all these problems because of urbanization, because of use of various kinds of resources to have this kind of lifestyle. And that means this lifestyle, this state of lifestyle is consumption based, and it is environmental deterioration intensive. So that's why we need to understand whether this lifestyle is sustainable or not. How long we continue to get various kinds of resources to sustain this type of lifestyle. How to restore the livable environment. That is the main point here. So here, runoff and flooding in cities due to large unbroken expanse of concrete or tar roads. In urban areas, there is little chance for the rainwater to infiltrate and to percolate. So if there is a little chance, then there is no way that water table get recharged with rainwater seasonally. So that's why in most of the urban areas or cities are struggling to meet their water demand, and many nearby rivers and reservoirs are constructed to meet the water demand from urbanites. We need to understand, we need to have open spaces where we can have natural vegetation. That natural vegetation will help us to promote infiltration of rainwater, to promote percolation of rainwater, so that the ground in urban areas can have sufficient amount of water for use throughout the year, not just in any part of the year. And next, noise pollution. So noise pollution is, so people are gradually getting acclimated to noise pollution. So noise pollution is inseparable for human activity in urban areas. So noise pollution also creates various kinds of health problems, sometimes severe headache, and sometimes partial hearing difficulties, and various kinds of health issues. And Medicare facilities are good, but a vast majority of urban people are either poor or belong to low-level income category who cannot afford to pay for good Medicare. So that means people struggle with various kinds of diseases, especially the slum centers. Every urban area has many numbers of slum centers. Each ward has many slums. The slums are nothing but urban villages. They are called urban villages. In slum people, most of the people workforce live in the slums. So congested housing conditions and improper sanitation. So sanitation is very poor. They don't have access to regular water supply, and sanitation problems are there. More spread of diseases, and so slum centers are mainly have become reservoirs of diseases, and they gradually spread to other classes of the society. So this is what we need to know about the side effect of urbanization. Urban slums here act as reservoirs of communicable diseases. Social problems also come up in urban centers: violence, crime, mafia, and nightlife. All these are unnecessary things. This is a present type of lifestyle in urban areas. So everybody is attracted to this kind of thing. So therefore, social order gets affected. And people cannot lead their life peacefully every day. So that's why in urban centers, the present lifestyles are creating social problems. And in urban centers, high-rise buildings are there. High-rise buildings are energy intensive. You can see how huge buildings are constructed, apartments. In every apartment, how many flats are there, how much electricity is required every day to run all these elevators or lifts to each and every floor, how many times. So almost a day long lift goes on working, using more and more electricity. And every day water is to be pumped to the top of the overhead tanks over there in order to supply water. How much electricity is required, how much of electricity is required for pumping water, how much electricity is required for inside lighting purpose or cooking purpose or whatever. And just imagine how much electricity is required. Most of the energy that we use here in India comes from the burning of fossil fuels. They are non-renewable energy resources. So they produce more carbon. So more carbon, more pollution, and also other pollutants also come into the environment. So these high-rise buildings, and also there is a threat to these high-rise buildings in case of a natural calamity like earthquake, like an earthquake or cyclones or tsunamis. So what will be the fate of people living in all these apartments or in these flats? So it's a very tough job. We are creating a headache business here in urban areas by promoting this kind of high-rise buildings which demand more and more water. That means which produce so much of waste, solid waste, and also which use more and more electricity. So next, if it is the coastal area like Visakhapatnam, you see here sewage flow. Municipal sewage is simply let to go into the marine environment. Here is artificial canals, is sewage canals. You can see, so all this municipal debris, whether it's organic or inorganic, everything goes and meets this ocean, sea and ocean body, and the marine food chain gets affected. Marine organisms, especially fishery resources. So edible fishery resources that we use, because sea is the source for seafood for us, and everybody relishes and cherishes seafood. But here seafood is contaminated with various kinds of pollutants, various kind of bacteria and other things. So this is another environmental degradation in the coastal cities. You just see. And garbage dumping at beach, garbage. You can see how garbage is dumped, and that garbage goes into the ocean. In the same sea, we are people what you call swim in that, so they are exposed to various kinds of pathogens which are diluted, which are mixed in this water body, and we get all these problems in coastal areas, and in other areas also water pollution. So in urban centers especially, you see here water pollution, river water, fresh water is also is polluted here because of various human activities. So this water cannot be used for drinking directly. So it is to be processed or purified before we drink. So how this water is polluted, you just take a look at it. And also this idle immersion and all these things, so people throw flowers and all these things because that is organic matter. So that organic matter is very much liked by bacteria, pathogenic bacteria, fungi and all. And they use it and they multiply and they simply, so that means seawater gets enriched with all these things because of this organic matter that we dump in here, and also showers that we take and baths we take in water bodies, we are also contaminating these things. And also in the same water bodies, people like kinds of pathogens, and then in the same water body we also take what you call swimming activity and bathing activity. So we also get skin diseases, so rashes, what you call various kinds of problems, dysentery, diarrhea, or whatever. So we need to think about. So water quality deterioration is here. We need to process such water before we drink it. And the next one is e-waste. You see, electronic waste. So these electronic waste, cell phones, plastics, copper, glass ceramics, cobalt, and lithium, various kinds of metals, heavy metals. So when we are using lately so much of what you call mobile technology, is computers and all, computers, even robots, and all these things we are using nowadays. So how much waste when you are using all these things? Automatically one day their lifespan is over, and then we dump them over there. And so all these things are very centers for various kinds of pollution, because all these mobiles have various kinds of metals, heavy metals, various kinds of pollutants. So they simply leach out, all these chemicals leach out from these things, and finally they find their way into water, so above ground water bodies, even into groundwater during rainy season. But the same water we use for various purposes, including drinking, bathing, and whatnot, for everything. So electronic waste, so environmental degradation, they don't decompose automatically. We need to dispose them properly, and we need to recycle them. But in many developing countries, So we simply throw them on the land. So there is no proper mechanism to recycle this, to process this e-waste. And this is another way of polluting, degrading the environment. Solid waste. You can see here solid waste. So all this is solid waste. So nowadays people have already mentioned every family, what to call, especially elite class of the society, every family has more than one vehicle, and if they have more money, so within 2 years they keep on changing, buying new vehicles, so new cars and other things. The consumerism, more purchases of cars, it means more car waste, more tire waste, more cardboard waste, all this solid waste is getting accumulated in urban centers. So how to dispose? So many health issues are associated with that. So this entire area is environmentally degraded. You don't find any vegetation here. So these things will be there for so many years. If the local municipal authority doesn't take care of all these things, it will be lying there forever. So this solid waste is also creating a big nonsense in urban centers or nearby industrial areas. And another thing in urban areas, because there are better Medicare facilities and so many corporate hospitals have come up, and so corporate hospitals, surgical waste, what you call hospital waste, and all these things, they are simply thrown in dustbins and all these things. And you can see this all this waste, especially if it is of organic or even polythene covers, they are eaten by these animals. So these animals, so that means if these cows, or if they give milk, or buffaloes, so they are eating all this stuff. So the milk is contaminated with various kinds of chemicals, which are ingested by these animals through this through this food. So that's why we think that we are taking milk. So that milk is contaminated. Early in the morning, somebody will come with his or her animal, knock the door, so milk. But we happily take that milk. We think that we are drinking milk. But that milk is highly contaminated with various kinds of things. So this medical waste is also another thing because of urbanization, and this is another way of degrading the environment. And the plastics, all the plastics are polymers, but all the polymers are not plastic. So plastic is a subdivision of polymer. So polymers, what are these polymers? Polymers are uniform molecules formed by small monomers. So plastics are long chain molecules formed by large monomers. They are either natural or synthetic, but plastics are synthetic materials. So polymers are either natural or synthetic, but plastics are always synthetic materials. So plastics are flexible. Why we use so much of plastic in urban areas or in every area, whether rural or even tribal areas also, every human being is using. Why we are addicted to use of plastic? Plastics are flexible, light in weight, and durable. That is one important point. So plastics are mostly produced from fossil fuels like crude oil and natural gas. And their production is very inexpensive, very cheap. That's why plastics are abundantly produced and abundantly used by humanity. So plastics can be molded or extruded or pressed into solid objects of different shapes due to their plasticity, flexibility. And that's why plastics are used for making plastic bottles, so milk bottles, so bags for grocery shopping, so ice cream tubes, so shampoo bottles, so food wrappers, so food container. For everything we are using plastic. Everything we are using plastic. We are portraying plastics as demands. So plastic should be banned, plastic should be banned. Everybody talks like that. We are portraying plastics as demands, but realistically they themselves are not inherently evil. That's my point. Plastics make life better and easier for us, but the problem with them is their immortality. They take a very long period of time for decomposition, for breakdown. So that is the only point. But they are very good. They give us some comfort. But at the same time, the point is that because plastics also came from this planet only, plastics did not come from other planets. We have manufactured them by using non-renewable energy resources. Population is growing worldwide, and so is urbanization and industrialization. As a result, plastics usage rate is also increasing rapidly. The world is being inundated by plastic. The world is being flooded by plastic everywhere. More than 400 million tons of plastic is produced every year, half of which is designed to be used only once. So 50% of that plastic is used only once. So that means only 10% is recycled. In the other 50%, only 10% is recycled, and the remaining 40% is simply standing in the disposal sites or everywhere. Estimates indicate that about 25 million tons of plastic end up in lakes, rivers, and seas. So lakes, rivers, and seas are productive centers. They are life givers. They give us food, but they are now flooded with plastic. They are now flooded with plastic. So mountains of plastic trash is accumulated everywhere in the world's oceans. More than 80% of the Pacific Ocean is loaded with plastic soup due to indiscriminate use of plastic. The plastic life cycle, it also has its life cycle. So it starts with the extraction of fossil fuels, and then once you extract fossil fuels, then you produce plastics. When you produce plastic, then you distribute plastic. And then when the plastic is distributed or purchased, then we use plastics. And after use, we dispose. So this is the entire cycle, plastic life cycle. But disposal is not proper. But disposal is not properly done. So plastics are creating a huge environmental degradation in every country. Each stage in this life cycle, plastic life cycle, creates pollution and harmful for the environment. Plastic production emits greenhouse gases because it is produced from fossil fuels. So, and more environmental degradation with more plastic production. The more we use plastic, the more we produce greenhouse gases, which speed up the phenomenon of global warming. Because we produce more greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases are fuels to heat the planet. That's why global warming. So therefore, the entire life cycle of plastics production is carbon intensive, which is linked to global warming. So finally, its sibling is climate change. Now climate change, everybody talks about climate change. And this climate change we are seeing, sea level is increasing every day, every year. Sea level is increasing. So now what sea water is coming towards land, and more inundation will be there in low-lying areas across the globe. And this climate change, we are seeing failure of crops. Failure of crops means failure of food production. So climate change, we are witnessing all these effects of climate change, and failure of rainfall, failure of rainfall, failure of rainwater. So rainwater is very important for food production, water availability and food availability on mainland, on any country. So this climate change is creating a phenomenon called El Nino phenomena. El Nino phenomena. This El Nino phenomena occurs once in 3 years or 4 years or 7 years. Now in recent times, scientists are unable to predict this El Nino phenomenon, to forecast this year we are not going to get any rain, or we are going to get a heavy downpour like that. Even scientists are unable to predict well in advance this El Nino phenomena, so that the respective governments can take care of the food and water supplies. So this climate change is highly unpredictable. So we really do not know what happens when. So that's why now we are experiencing all the problems associated with the climate change. This climate change is also promoting proliferation of mosquitoes. So these mosquitoes, mosquito-related diseases are so many. Malaria, dengue fever, filariasis, whatnot, all kinds of problems are there with mosquitoes. But a warm climate is highly conducive for the proliferation, for breeding and production of so many mosquitoes. Not only that, mosquitoes also gradually move from tropical areas to temperate areas, even to polar areas, because of increased temperature from tropics to polar regions. So that's why even mosquitoes, they are also traveling freely without any passport and visa from tropical latitudes to what you call every country, even to polar regions. And since mosquitoes are vectors of various diseases, so then people living in all these areas will become sick and will have to pay more for Medicare. People have a disposable mentality in case of plastic use due to its cheap nature, ready availability, and easy disposability. 3 points are there for plastics, why we are using these plastic things: cheap, readily available, and easily disposable. We simply go to shopping mall and we buy thing, and because anyway plastic bag is there, and we buy the thing. Once we use the resource which we have purchased and throw it outside. So that's why it is cheap to produce and readily available and easily disposable. So plastic waste is piling up in soil and water, where it disintegrates into mesoplastics, microplastics, and macroplastics. So that means this is according to the size of the plastic particle. So these micro and nanoparticle plastics affect terrestrial and aquatic life, and finally human beings. These plastics create what you call give us 3 types of hazards: physical hazard, chemical hazard, biological hazard. Take a look at physical hazard. Physical hazard, nanoparticles, they come and what you call nanoparticles, which you cannot see with your naked eye. So they come along with what you call water, rain, what you call even shower from shower water, and they gradually settle on your body or on animals, so fur of the animal or whatever. They gradually create a kind of abrasion. So when skin cells are abraded, so that means they open up a space, and then this nanoparticle enters inside the body. So that is a physical hazard. And then chemical hazard. These plastic particles also have certain chemicals, because we use various kinds of chemicals to make the plastic bags as beautiful as possible, as attractive as possible. So these chemicals are also there, and these chemicals also come along with nanoparticles. They enter our they enter living organisms, so they create all kinds of problems. Sometimes they become toxic. The chemicals which come along with the nanoparticle, they become toxic also. And biological hazards. So pathogens. Here you see a nanoparticle is a very effective taxi or vehicle for carrying these pathogens as a free ride. So this bacteria, pathogenic bacteria or pathogenic fungi, use these nanoparticles for free ride. So these nanoparticles, when they move from place to place, automatically the pathogens are also moving from one place to the other. Distribution of pathogenic microorganisms from one place to the other. So that's why nanoplastic particles are effective carriers of pathogens. They are very instrumental in spreading pathogenic bacteria and producing various kinds of diseases in different parts of the world. Both living and non-living processes govern the fate of marine plastics, whether they end up buried in deep ocean sediment or in fish harvested for human consumption. So this is about plastic. I am not going to. So you can see the surface of plastic on what you call on your finger. You can see plastic particles, how they look like. So microplastic, nanoplastic, they are very, very dangerous. So third bullet, if you see, when floating plastics like water bottles and plastic bags remain in the ocean water for a long period of time, algae and other allied life grow on them, weighing them down enough to sink to the ocean floor. So algae, they are supposed to remain on the surface of the water body. But because of these things, generally, these algae finally find their way into the bottom of the ocean. Microplastics take anywhere from 50 to 600 years for a single piece to break down. Just note this point. Microplastics take about 50 to 600 years for a single piece to break down. So that long, so many years we cannot wait for a single microplastic to break down. So this leaves items such as plastic bags, water bottles, bottle caps, plastic straws, food wrappers, and more to float in water, whether it's river water or ocean water. Plastic bags used in our daily life take 10 to 20 years to decompose, while plastic bottles take more than 450 years. So you just think about why we are using, and so how much time do they take for the decomposition of these plastic bottles. Plastic waste takes up to 1,000 years to decompose in landfills. Suppose if we put plastic waste in landfills, so for their decomposition it takes 1,000 years. So how many generations have to take care of these landfills? 1,000 years, maybe 10 to 15 generations. people are committed to take care of the plastic waste that we have deposited in our land, in landfills in our present times. So that means we are committing future generations to take care of the waste that we have generated in our lifetime. Because it takes so long for each piece to break down, the trash continues to pile up annually. Every minute, every second, we are adding more and more. Already the produced waste is taking so much of time. Every day, every minute, every second, we are adding so much. So that is a problem. In reality, when a piece of plastic breaks down, it continues to break into smaller pieces gradually and eventually becomes what is known as microplastic. So as plastic waste continues to remain in the ocean for years on, it has many negative effects on the environment, to animals, to humans, and even the economy. When plastic particles break down, they acquire new physical and chemical properties which show toxic effects on living organisms. Chemical effects of plastics are especially problematic at the breakdown stage. So now you can see the chemical additives at this stage leach out of the plastic particles, I have already mentioned, and they disrupt or break down the hormone system of invertebrates and vertebrate animals. And the clothing of acrylic, nylon, spandex, polyester is also a major source of plastic pollution. The washing of clothing made of these materials sheds minuscule fibers which are then discharged into the open environment, to which we are exposed. We inhale also into our nose. Microplastics absorb polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons which are there in the ambient environment. So then these things cause immunotoxicity, neurotoxicity, and genotoxicity. Three types of toxicities. One is immunotoxicity, neurotoxicity, and genotoxicity. So the food chain. This is the marine food chain. You can see primary producers, then primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers, quaternary consumers. When sunlight strikes, phytoplanktons produce food. So that is eaten by zooplanktons. And then small fish eats zooplanktons, and small fish are eaten by sharks. So this is the food chain. If phytoplanktons are affected because of these plastic particles, then all kinds of things. Zooplankton population will be affected, and then small fish populations will be affected, then large fish populations will be affected. So here you see phytoplanktons are microorganisms that include microalgae, green algae, diatoms, dinoflagellates, and photosynthetic bacteria such as cyanobacteria. So these phytoplanktons in marine environment, they withdraw carbon dioxide from the environment, and they produce oxygen in return, and also produce food in the ocean for other organisms. The algae is present on the surface of the ocean and captures carbon from the atmosphere and releases oxygen. Some types of algae and phytoplankton eat things from the water surface and ingest them through the air they breathe. And so the carbon they eat gets captured and sinks to the ocean floor when excreted. With all the pressure of the weight of the ocean on top of it, it stays captured. Algae are very important for climate control because algae, they fix atmospheric carbon dioxide, and therefore they withdraw carbon from the atmosphere. So that's why algae and phytoplanktons are very important. Around 50% of the oxygen we consume comes from the ocean, and most of that comes from algae. If algae is affected because of plastics, if phytoplanktons are affected because of plastic, so then if their populations dwindle or come down, then oceans cannot produce as oxygen that is required for all living organisms. How these things occur? Deoxygenation. Plastic blocks sunlight from getting to planktons, which prevent the organism from being able to carry out photosynthesis and thereby releasing oxygen into the ocean. Without sunlight, when sunlight is blocked by microplastics, plankton dies, causing suffocation and deoxygenation of the ocean. This results in dead zones in marine environment, rapidly increasing in size and number. That is a deoxygenation, oxygenation effect because of plastic. And depletion of food as planktons, the most basic building block, important food source for all ocean creatures, becomes more scarce because of plastic. Because it blocks sunlight, it sets off a chain of food scarcity all the way up to the top of the food chain, that is a big shark and finally human being as well. Contamination of marine creatures. Plankton attaches itself to plastic particles. The plastic is a magnet for other contaminants. Why? Because plastic is an oily petroleum-based product. It attracts other petroleum-based chemicals, debris, oils in the marine water. These contaminant-laden globules consisting of plankton, so plastic and other contaminants are consumed by fish and mammals, causing higher concentrations of these contaminants all the way up to the food chain, wreaking havoc on the health of all these creatures. So then that is first stage is phytoplankton. And then zooplankton, that is a food source for many other organisms, connecting primary producers such as phytoplanktons with large predators such as fish, and playing a key role in carbon and nutrient cycling. And next you can see here, zooplankton is at the bottom of the food chain. So if the zooplankton populations drop, the animals that eat zooplanktons will have a harder time finding food. Then fish populations will come down. And microplastic consumed by planktons, invertebrates, and fish can move through the food web and end up in species that are important to commercial fisheries. So fishes are in a way swimming in a soup of nanoplastics in ocean water. Fishes face problems with growth and reproduction because of this plastic accumulation. Their guts tend to have more and more plastic and less food. So that means they are underfed because guts are more occupied with plastic. And they don't have enough energy to put toward growth and reproduction. Once microplastics enter the food chain, it is hard for them to leave because individual animals which have microplastic in them, they also excrete gradually. But the thing about poop, that is excreta, in the ocean is that it serves as a food source. That excreta serves as food source for other marine animals. So that means zooplanktons ate that, other animals ate, they excreted. The excreta also has microplastic. That excreta becomes food for other marine animals. So the plastic that is there in the excreta automatically is transferred to other marine animals which feed on this excreta, including plankton and filter feeders. So that's why microplastics get continuously recycled in marine environment. An estimate states that approximately 1 lakh sea turtles and other marine animals die every year because they get strangled in bags and mistake them for food. Plastic trash is found in the guts of more than 90% of the world's seabirds and in the stomachs of more than half of the world's sea turtles. And the rate at which plastic is accumulating in the oceans of the planet, it is expected that the mass of the plastic in the entire ocean world will exceed the mass of all the fish that live there. So there is a huge threat. Nevertheless, microplastics find their way into the food we eat, the water we drink, and even the air we breathe. I repeat, the food we eat, the water we drink, and the air we breathe, all the things are contaminated with nanoplastics. So how plastics affect marine environment, you can see how the sea turtles think that is a floating thing, they think that it is jellyfish. Jellyfish is their food material. So they think that it is jellyfish, automatically they swallow this, and gut is blocked by this, and then the sea turtle cannot eat the food. So this is how marine animals are affected because of the plastic that we dump indiscriminately. And you can see here. And nowadays, even the fish, edible fish that we eat also is coming with plastic. I don't know whether you are aware of it or not. The edible fish that is sold in the market is also there with plastic nanoparticles. Sometimes even microplastic. You can see that is the first picture, second picture, upper of second picture, that the plastic things which are there in this fish. Suppose if you cook that food, then sometimes under your teeth you also get some kind of karkara. So then you see that that is a plastic thing. Sometimes you also, if you are very cautious while eating fish, sometimes you also get that feeling also. So fish is now contaminated with, but fortunately, muzzle part we eat. Muzzle part is not mostly with plastic particles. So only kidneys, gills, what you call liver, and they are having most of the plastic particles, but not the muzzle part. So muzzle part is very contaminated, very little with plastic. So that's why relatively we are in a safe, but still we are eating so these plastic particles. So here you can see prawns, so on their gills and these things, they have plastic particles. You can see here. Mangrove forests. So India is blessed with mangrove forests, but these mangrove forests are also, you can see this is Koringa mangrove forest, and there, so that means the root system is getting blocked by these plastic bags, plastic threads, fibers, and all suffocation. And a mangrove forest floor gets covered with plastic, it subsequently gets buried in the upper layers of the sediment, and therefore mangrove root zones cannot breathe because the root zone is blocked. For want of air, mangrove roots in order to breathe from the environment. In that process, what they happen, they allocate more budget for the production of aerial root. Then if they allocate more budget for the production of aerial roots, then what happens that these mangrove plants do not have sufficient energy to direct it towards sexual reproduction and build-up of their populations. So that is another effect. Plastic waste accumulated in mangrove forests hinders gas exchange, carbon dioxide efflux, influx, and oxygen flux. So these things are affected because of the plastic waste accumulation in mangrove environment. Plastic waste also reduces the efficiency of mangrove plants to remove more carbon dioxide and aids in hastening up the process of global warming. So mangrove plants subsequently die. So mangrove forests are highly productive centers. So the litter that comes through rivers, that comes through rivers from land, so finally settles in userine water bodies and mangrove zones. So that litter, organic matter, is now converted into mangrove forest cover, a beautiful mangrove cover. The dead material that comes, the river carries along with water, is dumped in userine environment where mangroves grow, and this litter is now converted into mangrove forest cover. So if mangroves are not there, all that litter will directly go into the ocean body, and more accumulation of plastic in marine environment, and all the marine organisms will be affected. Our fishery resources will also be affected. So that's why somebody said the glitter of mangroves is nothing but litter. So it is the litter which is producing a mangrove forest. It's shining. The glitter of mangrove forest is nothing but litter. But here, these plastics are also affecting the beautiful mangrove forest ecosystems which are there in India. Plastic pollution and its detrimental effects on health, the economy, and the environment cannot be ignored. Here, see, tourism is also affected. Beach environment is like this. You can see the picture. So beach environment is like that, how tourists can go and enjoy the beauty of beaches, and how they can enjoy swimming activity and all recreational activities and all. So the beaches, if they are maintained like this, with plastic and other debris, what you call decomposable, non-decomposable, plastic bottles, what you call liquor bottles, whatnot, everything is dumped right on the beach. So then tourism will also be affected because of this plastic pollution, because millions of people's livelihoods, food production capabilities, and social well-being would be affected if these ecosystems do not adapt and evolve to the changes in the habitats enforced by plastic pollution. Now, what is needed now is the surge of public and political pressure to stop this type of lifestyle, which is associated with plastic usage, indiscriminate usage of plastic. So, speed transformative actions from governments, companies, and other stakeholders to solve this global crisis, ensure that the plastic pollution is a history, is not in the present time. So, should be a commitment on the part of every individual, public, political pressure, companies, corporates, and everybody. The plastic pollution problem is more severe in highly populated countries like India, where single-use plastic is used indiscriminately without realizing its consequences to all spheres of environment and all life. In India, MOFCC specified conditions for the production of plastic items. The ministry also notified prohibited specific single-use plastic items for implementation with effect from 1st July 2022. The conditions set for the production of plastic items and the prohibition of single-use plastic items doesn't solve the plastic pollution problem. Simply prohibition is not enough. But the implementation of the prohibition notifications, that is more important than simply putting that on paper. Further, eco-friendly biodegradable plastics to non-biodegradable plastics need to be promoted so that people employed in non-degradable plastic manufacturing companies can find employment in biodegradable plastics. So we need to promote biodegradable plastic by reducing production of non-degradable plastics. So biodegradable plastics are commonly produced with renewable energy, renewable raw materials like microbes, petrochemicals, or combinations of all these things. And compostable plastics are derived from renewable biological materials like corn, potato, tapioca starches, cellulose, cotton derivatives, latex from tree sap, amber, soybean protein, lactic acid. Because since we are producing plastic from these biological materials, even when you throw, automatically they decompose in no time and they return back to the soil and form part of nutrients which are ready for assimilation by living plants. Composable plastics are non-toxic, decompose back into carbon dioxide, water, and biomass when composted. So that's why compostable plastic, we need to focus more on compostable plastic. In the present day world, people have developed disposable mentality. It has become very common to use single-use plastic items in our daily life. We should understand the harmful effects of the use of synthetic plastics to life in general and human beings in particular in order to change our disposable habit and use environment friendly, biodegradable, and compostable plastics made from renewable biological materials or organisms. That shift in our mentality is can't but for us to make this planet free from synthetic plastic and livable forever by all existing creature. Since nature is in emergency mode due to plastic pollution and time is running out, corrective actions are unavoidable at individual level to stop using synthetic plastics and promote the use of biodegradable plastic to provide a sustainable, healthy, and livable environment on this planet. So, how to get rid of plastic in the ocean? So, these are some tips I'm not going to use. So, there are many simple alternatives to plastic products: reusable grocery bags, reusable produce bags, straws, sustainable toothbrushes. There are some tips which you can use in place of single-use plastic items. So coastal regulation zone notification. MOFCC has issued coastal zone regulation notification with an objective to ensure livelihood security to fishing communities and other local communities living in coastal areas, to conserve and protect coastal stretches and to promote development in a sustainable manner based on scientific principles taking into account the dangers of natural hazards in the coastal areas and sea level rise due to global warming. This is also there. So according to this notification, so we are bound to maintain coastal areas as ecologically ecologically important as possible. And you can see all this, how plastic waste is dumped here and how children are exposed and how the rag pickers they are collecting and maybe they make a little amount of money. So it's a very pity for these rag pickers. So this is very unfortunate situation that we are having this kind of situation right in our midst. And you can see all this how we are disposing this waste and how it is accumulated here, piles and piles of, it's like a hillocks of a plastic waste. So plastic waste management rules amended in 2021, rules made in 16 or amended in 2021, they defined what is plastic things: non-woven plastic bag, non-woven fabric, plastic waste processing, single-use plastic commodity, thermoset plastic, thermoplastic. So different kinds of plastic. So out of all these things, thermoplastic has been defined a plastic which softens on heating and can be molded into a desirable shape. It is recyclable. It can be reused. Thermoplastic. Thermoset plastic cannot. You cannot make that once you make an item. So you cannot reshape it. That is thermoset plastic. But in case of thermoplastic, we can reuse, reshape the plastic. So these are certain definitions provided under this Plastic Waste Management Rules 2016 and subsequently amended in 2021. This is non-woven plastic. Single-use plastic. That is the main problem with single-use plastic. This is thermoset plastic. We cannot reshape it. And thermoplastic, we can reshape them. So recyclable. And the conditions related to different plastic items: the manufacture, import, stocking, distribution, sale, use of plastic carry bags, plastic sheets, or cover made of plastic sheet, and multi-layered packaging will be subject to the following conditions. So these are the conditions. First, the thickness of carry bags. First, not less than 50 microns, then to 75 microns with effect from 2021 September 30, and then increase it to 120 microns with effect from 31st December 2021. However, the requirement for thickness, this thickness is not applicable to biodegradable plastics. So carry bags and commodities made from compostable plastics need to conform to the specific industrial standards applicable for compostable plastics, which are to be certified by the CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board, before compostable plastics are marketed or sold. Prohibition of specific single-use plastic items with effect from 1st July 2022. So just after COVID lockdown, what you call this one. So all these items, earbuds with plastic sticks, for balloons, plastic bags, flags, candy sticks, ice creams. But still, they are all widely used even now. 1st July 22, now we are in 2024 September. Still, they are available in markets. So biodegradable plastics are commonly produced with renewable, and all these things are already mentioned. So this is a biodegradable thing. And you can see here bamboo, these things, biodegradable, edible plates, so spoons made from wheat bran. These are the things that we need to use, biodegradable ones. And that is about plastic. And coming to our political system is also part of our lifestyle in urban areas or rural areas. Our political system, how it is, our political system is degrading the environment. So our political system requires more petrol and diesel for running vehicular traffic. So vehicles of convoys and other police patrolling and all the things. You can see president to convoys, security, prime minister, convoy, security, cabinet ministers, governor, chief ministers, cabinet minister, political parties, public meetings, collection of people, election system, campaigns, canvassing by political system. You see, in all these activities, how much fuel is required, how much transportation is there, how many cars are to be manufactured, how much pollution will be there. And finally, we are using petrol or diesel from crude petroleum, which we import from the Gulf region. We process it, refine it in our HPCL, and finally we get that we get that oil, and that is used for these purposes for nothing. So productivity, there is no economy in this. So this is all waste for nothing. All this waste for nothing. So this is our political system. We need to change this type of thing. Why so many convoys? Why so much of security? If you go to the developed world, they don't have so many convoys or so much of security. Even if you United States, US president, very few vehicles are there. But here we see so much things, even at chief minister level or governor. Why all these things? This is all tax money. All the tax money can be utilized for some other productive purposes, for employment purpose, for creation of infrastructure facility. But instead of doing that, by burning unnecessarily all these things, this political system is creating environmental degradation. So especially the present youth should realize whether we should have this type of political system, or we should change this type of political system. Consumption of resources in cities, electricity consumption for lighting purpose, so many shopping complexes, hotels, and everything, they burn huge amount of electricity, which is produced mostly from fossil fuels. So is it essentially required to burn all this just for lighting purpose, to attract consumers or customers or whatever? Excessive consumption of food in urban areas. So simple food is enough, but early in the morning of coffee, tea, and breakfast, so many items, and lunch, before lunch again something else we eat, and again before dinner we eat snacks or snakes or whatever. We eat so many kinds of stuff. So excessive consumption of food. That food requires so much of agricultural land, so much of pesticide, application of so much pesticide, application of fertilizer. Unnecessarily we are wasting all that food. Food waste is so much in urban centers. Go to any corporate hospital, corporate restaurants, or any 3-star, 4-star, or even single-star roadside. So food waste is so much. But that food comes from our agricultural land, for which we have used so much of water, so much of labor. Farming communities have sacrificed their life, and so much of application of pesticide and fertilizer. But finally that food produce is milled, and then that is sold in markets, and finally we purchase the rice bag and we get it and we make it, and finally in our plate we eat little and we throw it. This is our attitude. This is our behavior. This is our behavior. This food is doesn't come from nothing. So we need to think about this kind of thing. Excessive consumption of food, overnutrition in upper, middle, and high income categories. Some people eat unnecessarily. And even midnight biryanis, midnight, late night eating, restaurants are kept open. Why all these things unnecessary eating, unnecessary eating? People should realize, the present youth should realize, students like you should understand whether it is justifiable or not. Undernutrition, there are so many people around us who do not have the money to buy the food. But the people who have the money to buy the food, they are wasting the food. Instead of sharing what they have with the people who do not have the food, they are overeating, and after overeating, they go for what you call gym and morning walk, evening walk, and all the things, all necessary stuff. For gym, so much of machinery. For that machinery, we need to set up industries, factories to produce all that equipment, to create so much of pollution, and all these things. It's still like a chain thing. Undernutrition, malnutrition, overnutrition. This is all we need to think about, especially by present student community. Women lifestyle. Coming to women also, women are the main consumers of resources. You can see how many companies produce so many kinds of stuff. Even to take what you call this lipstick or other things. So how many companies they use more electricity that comes from non-renewable energy resource, more environmental degradation. So many things. Why we need to produce so many kinds of lipsticks or other kinds of stuff? So why so many factories, so many resources are used? And you can see costumes, so many kinds of costumes, because men use very little dress code and other things. So many shades of saris and what you call things are that. How many textile mills, so how much dye they produce, environmental degradation, and how much electricity is utilized for the production of all this stuff. And you just see bangles, how many companies are involved in bangle making, how much electricity is used. And you just imagine, I just cannot imagine, ornamentals, gold ornamentals, how much electricity is used for glowing all these shops and other things, for making ornamentals, and what you call for, and in the process of producing so much of pollution. And dress code, men only, so simply men are very simple, just they use pant and shirt, they go. Even this dress code is also being followed by women now. So this is something about that we need to think about. And food also, lavish food, you just see here. So food also should look very colorful. So because our eye wants more beauty, more attraction. So see, food additives are added. Food additives are mostly carcinogenic. Biryani comes with various colors of rice, biryani rice. So food additives are added. Most of the food additives that give what you call good look or some taste or whatever, they are mostly carcinogenic. But we should realize, for the production of those things, again, some factories are involved. Electricity is used, environmental degradation or ecological degradation. So we need to think about this. Women in tribal area, rural area. So mainly this is applicable to tribal and rural area. Productive and reproductive, both are applicable to every woman. Of course, productive roles and reproductive roles. So women gender is a co-creator. So next to God, women's role in food security in tribal or rural environment, tribal and rural people, they are involved in various works, in growing food, in preparing food, in serving food. They are in touch with nature every day. And you see pre-sowing activities, after sowing activities, harvesting activities, post-harvesting activities, dairy and livestock, poultry, aquaculture, food processing, food vendors. So they are involved in various activities. They are in touch with nature. And milking, fodder cutting, cleaning cattle sheds, preparation, storage of dung cakes, sericulture, non-food sector. So in case of tribal and rural people, they are involved in various activities, which is what you call productive sector. Productive sector, they add their role to the national economy. So as mother and as wife, providers of nutrient-rich food for the present generation, for the future generation. So environmental security, they give users of natural resources, managers of land, managers of forest, managers of water and other natural resources, preservers or biodiversity. Women have a very, very important role in nurturing nature, in take care of the environment, to prevent environmental degradation, to prevent ecological degradation in forest areas, especially by tribal women. So as consumers, so producers, so caretakers of their families and educators, women have concern for the quality and sustainability of life, for the present as well as future generations. They play crucial roles in promoting sustainable development. Tribal and rural slum women take part in housekeeping, sanitation, maintaining kitchen gardens, but urban women are not involved in any, they do not have any role in environmental security. Urban elite and educated men and women take part in jobs linked to economics of the country. Uneducated men and women in construction works, domestic works, and so on. Resources consumption is more in urban areas because these urbanites use more resources, more energy, more food, more waste. So changes in lifestyles is essential. Simplicity, not complexity of lifestyle. Reduce resources consumption, reuse resources, recycle used resources. These three, triple R, should be there always. Change in lifestyle is essential nowadays. But who will change the lifestyle? Everybody wants a luxury lifestyle. But we need to think whether every individual, the lifestyle of every individual is sustainable or not. That is a huge question mark. But before I close, I show you one model lifestyle. This is in the United States, a model lifestyle. You live in USA. This community, Amish community, they live in United States. In states like Ohio, Pennsylvania, Indiana, Delaware, New York, Canada, with whom I have a personal interaction. They have Swiss German ancestry. They have their own language and culture. They dress in a traditional manner, not in Western manner, but they don't speak in English language. They don't wear jean pants, jean dress, things like that, but they marry within their own community. They use horses for transportation and farming. They don't use cars. They don't use cars. They don't use petrol or anything. They forbid. They don't use electricity. They don't use telephones in homes. They don't join military. They don't apply for social security benefits. Here in India, everybody wants to apply for social security benefit. But though government is willing to give them, this community simply declines to take social security benefits. They don't accept any form of financial assistance from anybody. This is a model lifestyle. So this is model lifestyle. So they even now, so they don't use any machines. No mechanization of harvest, vertical sowing, plowing, harvesting of things. They simply use animals. Even now, they use buggies. So even during severe winter, when snow is falling, they use these buggies only. They don't use cars. So you just see here. So this is their way of life. That is their culture. That is their definition. They don't use jean dress, Western dress, and other things, traditional dress. So they have their own shops. They sell their own produce there. So they use only bicycles. They don't use cars. They use bicycles and buggies. So that type of lifestyle we need. We need to change our behaviors. We need to change our lifestyle. Otherwise, sustainable development will not be there. What is sustainable development? So meeting the needs not just now, but in the future as well. So meeting the needs, not greeds. So, but here everybody with this luxury lifestyle, everybody wants to meet greeds but not needs. That is the main problem. That's why we cannot achieve sustainable development. Sustainable development is mainly based on simple lifestyle. Sustainable development is mainly based on green economy, green growth, green economy, on the use of renewable energy resources, on the use of efficient technology, which use less amount of resource, which gives, but at the same time, which gives more output. So that is what is called a sustainable development. If sustainable development, if we cannot achieve, there is no way that we can continue this civilization, we can sustain the humanity on this planet. So I give, before I close my talk, I just read this. What if resources are consumed without their renewability and availability? There is already a tragedy in the past. In the past, about 2,500 years ago, there was an island called Rapa Nui. Earlier it was called Rapa Nui. Later it is called Easter Island. In South Pacific, it is still there. It was colonized about 2,500 years ago. It was colonized by people. They developed civilization by using bioresources of that island. But they did not consider renewability of the resource. They exploited the resource. Soon biological resources exhausted. They made statues by cutting wood, huge trees. They made huge statues according to their vertical faith, rituals, and other things, or tribal leaders and other things. Soon, resources exhausted. People turned to warfare and cannibalism. Cannibalism means people eating people. Both the population and civilization collapsed. Dutch explorers went to that island in the year 1722 on the day of Easter, the resurrection day of Jesus Christ. They found about 2,000 inhabitants only struggling under primitive conditions. So this is a standing example, a classical example. If we don't take care of the present natural resources, maybe in the future we may end up with this type of tragedy at a global level. We too will recreate the tragedy of East Island on the grander scale if these resources are not properly and judiciously utilized. So in the Bible it says, God said, "Let us make man in our image, in our likeness. Let them rule over the fish of the sea." Man, God created as a leader, ruler of this entire planet. Rule over the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, over the livestock, over all the earth, over all the creatures that move along the ground. God gave us that very what you call very power to rule this entire creation. But what we are doing? But we are acting as like fools and stupids. And now another passage. So if you don't know how to live this life on this planet, so then what they said, ask the animals, they will teach you. The birds of the air are the birds of the air, they will tell you. Or speak to the earth, it will teach you. Or let the fish of the sea inform you. Which of all this does not know that the hand of the Lord has done this? In his hand is the life of every creature and the breath of all mankind. You go and ask these animals. They are not very intelligent like human beings. So, but still, if you don't know how to rule this, how to utilize this planet, so go to them and try to get educated. And finally, the earth is the gods and all that is in it, and the world and those who live in it. So finally, earth is like a bed. If you contaminate your bed, one day you will suffocate and die in your own bed. That is the end of life on this planet here. So thank you all. This is I closed my talk.
Sir, thank you, Honorable Professor A.J. Solomon Raju Garu,
Yes.
for your wonderful and insightful talk on the lifestyles and environment, where you have explained and from the ancient period how the nomadic life to the modern in the different stages, how the humans are degrading and also harming the environment, which is going to create problem for the future generation. And it is very wonderful lecture, sir. We also got so much of information which is not known to us, how we are also harming the environment as an individual and as a group, as a society, how we are harming our own environment. I hope everyone has got the insights from this lecture, and we also have to take the oath where we all should participate in this, particularly preserving our environment, not littering, and also not doing any harm to our environment. As a part of it, IGNOU is also creating the awareness among the different people on this occasion of the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, using this platform, and in the different stakeholders we are involved and creating the awareness. And now I request the students and the participants, the floor is open. If you have any doubts or need some more information, with the permission of Honorable Professor A.J. Solomon Raju, I can request the students.
Yes.
Please ask anyone is having the doubt. Any student? Okay, anyhow, thank you, everyone. Before we close the session, I request Dr. Dharmarao. Dr. Dharmarao.
Hello.
Yeah, Dr. Dharmarao-ji, you want to say anything?
Thank you very much, Dr. Krishna. And as you already said, it is a wonderful. After a long time, particularly we are following what we are supposed to follow. The differentiation, really, it is an eye opener to all of us. And of course, if at least 5% for already told, if we follow, we can save a lot of environment. For his valuable time, input to our the recorded video also will be kept for the YouTube channel. And once again, these students and once again that
I think there is a problem.
I think there is a network issue. Anyhow, I'm very much thankful to you, sir, for spending your valuable time and delivering a wonderful lecture. I can say it is a eye-opening as well as the very informative session, which is going to useful for our students as well as ourselves. Also, we realized the importance of sustainable environment and where our role should be played crucial, and we all have to preserve our environment. And we look forward further academic collaboration with you, sir, whenever we need, and we will approach you. I hope you will also join with us in future for the academic activities. From the IGNOU Regional Center, Visakhapatnam, we express our gratitude and thanks to you for spending your valuable time. And also, we thank the students and other stakeholders for spending your valuable time and attending this webinar and made it as a grand success. This recorded video we are going to upload in our RC Visakhapatnam YouTube channel and the post in all the social media and also we are going to send to the individual students also through email because of it is a very useful lecture which we can take it as a model and we can lead further activities regarding the sustainable environment. Thank you everyone. Thank you, sir. We are closing the
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.